Welcome back, my fellow game developers. In this video we are going to enhance our aiming mechanic by not only moving our gun to the center but also aiming down the sight correctly. So now we zoom in whenever we hold down the right mouse button, and as you can see, when we release it, it no longer zooms in. So now we have more accurate guns. With that said, let's not waste any more time and let's get started. Okay, so how are we going to be zooming in, and what is an FOV? Well, if we go to our main camera in here, we can see that we have a field of view, and if we try to decrease it, you can see that we are zooming in, and if we try to increase it, you can see that we are zooming out. And this is what we are going to be trying to manipulate in our code in order to zoom in whenever we aim down the sight with our gun. So let's put this back to 60 and let's save all of that. And now let's open up our code, and we're actually going to go to our camera move. So in here we are going to be accessing the FOV, and we're going to be manipulating it or zooming in and out using different methods and so on. So the first thing we're going to do is in here we are going to create a private float, and this is going to be the start FOV and the target FOV. Now these are going to be private because we are going to be using methods in order to change them. And now in here we're going to create a public float, and this is going to be the FOV speed. So this will represent at what speed will the FOV be zooming in and out. And we're going to use a method similar to move towards, but it will be a bit different. And finally, we are going to get a reference to our camera in order to access the FOV. Now, we've learned throughout this course how to, first of all, get a reference using a public variable. We've learned how to find a game object, but what if we want to access a game or a component that is already on the object on which we have our script? So we have the camera move, and we want to access the component of the camera in here. So there is a very simple way of doing this. So first of all, let's make this a private camera because we're actually accessing the camera component, and we'll call this my camera. And the way we get a component is we actually go in here and we'll tell it that my camera is equal to get the component of type camera, and that's it. So what this does, let's say we have the camera move, which is the script on the main camera object, and this main camera object has components, and one of them is the camera. So what this does is in here in the start, as soon as we start, we get the component of camera that is on the game object of our main camera. So this is a much easier way, and it's similar to the find object, but it only works if we actually have a component of type camera on our game object. Okay, so with that done, let's go ahead and start. We are going to set the starting FOV. So the start FOV will of course be my camera dot field of view. So it's already there. And then we are going to set the target FOV as the start FOV whenever we actually start the game. Now, how are we going to be changing the FOV? Well, in here in late update, we are going to be interpolating the camera's field of view to the target's field of view. And what is interpolating? Well, let me show you in here. So we are going to use something called the mathf.lerp. And what this does is it interpolates, or it returns the float result between the interpolation of two values. So we have the start value of A, which is going to be the field of view of our camera. We are going to have the end value, which is the target FOV, and then we are going to interpolate these using some kind of value, which is going to be, of course, the field of view speed that we've created. And what does interpolation mean? Well, it means that we move towards, or not actually move towards, that's not the right way to put it. So let me just show you in here. So let's use paint. So moving towards, let's say we have a target in here, and the way we move towards is we actually go to this position using constant traveling. So these distances are the same and we keep moving until we get to our target. Interpolation, on the other hand, is we have a value in here. We want to get to this value in here. So we start off by moving at this pace. We then move at this pace, at this, and this, and the distance keep getting smaller until we finally get to our destination. So this works better whenever we are working with zooming, and this works better whenever we have positions that we want to move in and we don't want to actually slow down as we get to our goal. So with that explained, nope, don't save that masterpiece. Back in our script, we are going to get my camera.fov, and we're going to create a mathf.lerp, and in here we are going to set the a float, or the initial value, at the my camera dot field of view, which is the initial value. We are then going to set the target FOV as the target value, and we're going to make this at a speed of the FOV times time dot delta time. Okay, great. But we're not done yet, because this will not do anything. Currently, the target FOV is the start FOV, and the start FOV is the camera FOV, so that means we are not doing anything. We are going to create two methods in here. The first one will be a public void zoom in, and it's public because we are going to be accessing it from the gun system, and this method will take in a parameter which is the float target zoom. And in here we are going to change the target FOV into the target zoom. And we're also going to create a method for zooming out. So this is going to be a public void zoom out. And this will simply reset the target FOV into the starting FOV. And that's it. Now we're going to create a method in the gun system that will, or not actually a method, we are going to check in our gun manager for some kind of input, and when we do hit that input, we are going to access the, the zooming in, and we're going to set a certain target zoom for it, and then when we release the said input, we are going to zoom out, and it's part of your challenge. So your challenge is to finish zooming in and out. So first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to create a zoom amount variable that will be unique to every gun, because for example, pistols zoom in a certain distance, then you have, for example, snipers that can zoom in even more than that, and maybe you have a very big sniper that zooms in all the way. So next thing you'll need to do is in gun manager, check if we're holding the mouse button up or down, and based on that, you'll need to zoom in and out, and finally find the camera move object, just like we previously did. So you'll need to find the object in each condition and access the method on it. So pause the video right now and go do the challenge, even if it's a bit hard, especially the last part. Okay, welcome back. So first thing we're going to do is we'll keep the variable in here. So it's a public float zoom amount, and let's save that. We'll set it in the inspector, and because it's part of the aiming, we'll keep it in here. And in here we are going to check if we have the input dot get mouse button down. That means we're pressing the right mouse button downwards. We are going to find the object of type, and of course we're going to find the camera move, and we're going to be zooming in And because it takes in a parameter, if we don't give it a parameter, it will tell us that there is an error and we need to assign a parameter, which is of course the zoom amount. And if we use the input, where is it? The input dot get mouse button up. So when we release the mouse button 1, we want to, let's copy this, put it in here, and we're actually going to be zooming out. And if you cannot use the zoom out and zoom in, make sure that we have these two public. So it's the first time that we're accessing a certain method from a different script, I believe, if not, I'm not mistaken. So if you at least got to create these two, checking for them, and the zoom amount, I congratulate you. If you went all the way and figured out how to do this, you are incredible. Keep up the great job. So with that done, let's save that. And let's make sure for the final time when we decrease, so let's see how much do we want to aim down the sight. Is 40? No, 40 is too much. I think from 60 to maybe 55 for a gun is enough. So let's reset that. Back in our pistol, let's make the zoom amount the 55. So now when we press play, we can shoot, and when we aim down the sight with the right mouse button, we should be zooming in just a little bit. And let me just make this more obvious, so let's make it 50. And you can see how the interpolation works. So we don't move towards the value, we actually slowly zoom in until we get to the final value or the target FOV. So if that's still not clear, let me make this 40. And now when we hit play, we can zoom in the sight, and you can see how it slowly changes. Even after a couple of seconds, we are still zooming in a little bit. So with that done, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this section. In the next section, we are going to be adding not just plain or not just these plain enemies, these weird orbs in here. We are actually going to add big enemies, scary enemies, and most of all, smart enemies that will chase our player around and shoot at him and hurt him. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's not forget to stage all of our files. So we stage all of that, and we're going to tell it that we have created an aiming mechanic with zooming in. And let's commit our changes, and with that done, I'll see you in the next section. And next,